Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Friday. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are excited for the weekend. Another week has gone by in Everton's search for a new manager and it seems like we could be getting closer to an announcement. It's been very quiet over the last couple of days or so. We've had little bits and bobs of rumours today. Yesterday we didn't really have anything whatsoever. The day before we didn't really have much either, and typically, not saying this is the case, but typically when you don't really hear much and when things are a little bit quiet, that usually means that, you know, we're getting closer to an announcement being made, and we're getting closer certainly to a decision of being made as well. And all of that leads to the possibility, or maybe it's an inevitability at the moment, that Rafa Benitez becomes the new Everton manager. We have had a little bit more information regarding Rafa Benitez and the links to Everton today, which we'll go on to talk about in just a moment, but it looks like it's going to be Rafa Benitez, doesn't it? It looks like it's going to be Rafa Benitez. It looks like it could be announced over the next couple of days or so, maybe at the weekend, possibly leading into next week, but Everton seem to have made their decision. The names on the list are starting to sort of tick off. Lucien Favre, of course, turned down Crystal Palace earlier on today, or late last night, sorry, and the reason for that was that he wanted to take an extra break in football, an extra break out of football, sorry, so again, that would suggest that Lucien Favre isn't in the running to become the Everton manager either. And of course, Nuno Espirito Santo, today we've heard that he is in talks with Tottenham to become their new manager as well, and it looks like he could be set to be appointed as the new Tottenham boss. So Nuno's off the list. We know Nuno was heavily linked with Everton, and he was certainly one of those names at the top of the board's list for potential candidates to come in and take over from Carlo Ancelotti. He seems to be off to Tottenham now, although it wouldn't surprise me if that fell to bits, because let's be honest, Tottenham have been in advanced talks with about 412 different managers over the last 2 weeks, and they've all fallen to bits. Lucien Favre, of course, walked away from Crystal Palace last night due to wanting to take an extended break from football, and it leads us with the rumours regarding Rafael Benitez being the new Everton manager continuing to be pumped through to us, and it looking, like I said, like it's more of an inevitability, and it's more of a when and if, not an if, really. And obviously that, you know, that isn't the news that a lot of Evertonians want to hear. I think a lot of Evertonians are still on the hope that it isn't done until it's done, and that's completely and utterly the case, by the way. Again, that's exactly how things are at the moment. Is Rafa Benitez the new Everton manager? Well, no, not at the moment. Is it likely he will become the new Everton manager? Probably, because all of the rumours are suggesting that, and obviously it's been very quiet over the last couple of days or so, and as I said, usually when there's a period of silence or when there's a period of quiet, it means that, you know, things are starting to get ready for an announcement, because the, you know, other names that were maybe on the list a couple of weeks ago have faded away. We're not really being linked with anybody new, and there's not really any rumours suggesting that any other manager is in the conversation other than Rafa Benitez. But as I've just said, it doesn't mean that it's done and dusted. It only means it's done and dusted when the club, you know, put out an official statement announcing it, and when he stood at Finch Farm with the scarf around his neck, because anything can happen in football. The club might be sitting there today going, yeah, it's Benitez, you know, we've got the contract there, he's going to sign it later on tonight, or he's going to sign it you know, first thing on Monday morning, and we'll have him announced on Monday morning, and we'll be able to move on then. And Rafa Benitez might be like, yeah, sound, can't wait to sign my new contract, absolutely brilliant, can't wait to become the next Everton manager, boss. And then he might be sitting there tomorrow night having a scran thinking, actually, do you know what? I'd rather go and manage in Italy, or I'd rather go and manage in Turkey, so I'm not taking the Everton job. And we might be sitting here on Monday and we might hear that Rafa Benitez has decided against joining Everton or whatever. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, or I'm not saying that that's the case, but what I'm saying is anything can happen in football, and it wouldn't massively surprise me if that did happen. But I think we all can digest and sort of accept now that the likelihood is that it will be Rafa Benitez that becomes the new Everton manager. That's exactly how it's seeming at the moment anyway, and obviously it's an appointment that is split opinion. an appointment that has caused a lot of controversy in sort of in amongst Evertonians. There's fans that agree with the appointment. There's a lot of fans that heavily disagree with the appointment as well for obvious reasons. Look, Rafa Benitez isn't my number one choice. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rafa Benitez, for me, isn't the right man to take Everton forward. He isn't the manager that I want to come in and manage Everton Football Club. What I do think he is the easiest manager to come in and follow on from what Carlo Ancelotti was doing. If Everton are looking for the safe option, if Everton are looking for a manager that's as close to Carlo Ancelotti as Carlo Ancelotti, then Rafa Benitez is probably probably the nearest to that, isn't it, in terms of the style and football in which he plays is very similar to Carlo Ancelotti's, or certainly it has been in recent years, which obviously is not a positive thing to hear, because we all weren't happy with Carlo Ancelotti's style of football, where let's be honest, we put up with it and we were willing to accept it because he's Carlo Ancelotti, and we understood that the playing staff at the club currently aren't good enough, or certainly aren't the level that they need to be. But it doesn't mean that we were happy with the style of football. It doesn't mean that we were excited by it, because it wasn't. It was boring, it was defensive, it was very frustrating and very hard to watch at times. Rafa Benitez typically plays that style of football as well, so it's an easy transition for the players, it's an easy transition for the club, and also in regards to his CV, Champions League winner, obviously won the Europa League or the UEFA Cup, can't remember what it was called at the time that he won it with Chelsea, been in Italy and won things as well over in Spain, so he's probably the closest like-for-like replacement to Carlo Ancelotti is that the board could have gone for. Now, I didn't necessarily want the board to do that. I was more than happy for Carlo Ancelotti to stay at Everton Football Club, and I didn't want to change a process, I didn't want to change of management 5-6 weeks ago, but ultimately we weren't given a choice. The manager decided that he didn't want to be here anymore and he wanted to get off, and I think this would have been a fantastic opportunity for Everton to really reassess where they are and where they want to be, and as I've said before, how they're going to get to where they want to be, because it's all well and good Farhad, Moshiri, Marcel Brands, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Bill Kenwright sitting in an office and saying, right, okay, we want to be challenging for the Premier League title, we want to be challenging for the Champions League, we want to be competing at the highest levels of the league table every single year. But if they've got absolutely no idea in which how to do that, then what's the point in coming out and saying it? It doesn't matter what you want to do, it doesn't matter where you want to be or what you want to achieve. If you've got no plan and no idea of how to achieve it, then it's useless. All as it is then is purely just a dream without a plan. Is just a dream. It doesn't become a reality until you can put a plan in place, and I honestly think that's where we are at Everton. I think there's a lot of people at Everton Football Club that know where we are and know where we want to be, or seem to tell us where we want to be, but don't actually understand how to get there, or want to get there without having to do all the hard work, want to get there without having to do the planning, the process, the infrastructure, the recruitment way of doing it. They just want to jump to there, and that's impossible to do. And I would have thought this would have been a big opportunity for Everton to sort of hit the reset button a little bit and go, right, okay, we had an experienced manager who was going to come in and who was going to bring all of the experience of winning a Champions League and winning leagues and winning big games and managing some of the best and biggest players in the world. We brought him in. It wasn't great for the time that he was here. Obviously, you have to bear in mind that Carlo Ancelotti come into at Everton Football Club to a point where there was a global pandemic. I think he only managed 4 games at Goodison Park with a full capacity. But the football wasn't great, certainly not at home. Our home form was absolutely abysmal. And he ended up obviously leaving at the end of this season. So I thought that would be a chance for the club to go, right, okay, we're going to hit the reset button a little bit. We're going to bring in a young, pragmatic, exciting manager that plays nice, attacking football, and we're going to give him the freedom of saying, right, okay, we're a project. We want to be here within the next 5 years. We've got a plan in place to do it, and you're going to be the manager that takes us forward. Because one massive issue I have with Rafa Benitez, putting his Liverpool connections to one side, putting his football to one side, putting his CV to one side, one massive issue I have with him is, as again, I said it yesterday or the day before yesterday, I really, really just see it as a short-term solution to a long-term problem. I don't see Rafa Benitez being here in 2-3 years' time. Now, I don't agree with the appointment because personally I feel like I'll be sat here in 12 months' time having the same conversations as that we've had for the last 3 weeks or so, in that we need a new manager, who's on the list, who's going to come in, and it'll probably be the same list as that we've spoken about for the last 2 or 3 weeks as well. But even if Rafa Benitez is a success at Everton and does come in and does a lot better than what we may think he would do at first, and ends up, maybe getting us in Europe or winning us a trophy or whatever, I still don't think that he'll be here in 3 or 4 years, 5 years beyond that. I can't see Rafa Benitez being here when we move into Bramley-Moore dock. I can't see Rafa Benitez being here post Bramley-Moore dock. So I just see it as a short-term solution, and maybe that's what the club were after. Maybe the club assessed this situation and went, look, we weren't prepared for Carlo Ancelotti to leave, so let's go in and get the most like-for-like replacement to Carlo Ancelotti, which, let's be honest, out of the managers we're linked with, is Nuno Espirito Santo a like-for-like replacement to Carlo Ancelotti? Absolutely not. Is Graham Potter a like-for-like replacement to Carlo Ancelotti? Absolutely not. Is it Christophe Galtier? Absolutely not. Is Rafa Benitez... out of those names, yes, he's won, big trophies before. He's managed big players. He understands what it's like to work under pressure. He plays a certain style of football similar to Carlo Ancelotti. So he's the safe option. And maybe that's what Everton were looking to do. Maybe that's what Everton wanted to do. They just wanted to bring in the safe option for the moment and get some stability at the football club. And look, who knows? Rafa Benitez might be a success. Rafa Benitez might come in and win Everton a trophy. He might come in and, galvanise Everton into the top 6, top 4, whatever. And we might all be sitting here in 18 months, 12 months' time going, actually, do you know what? We mightn't like him and we mightn't have agreed with the appointment, but it was the best appointment for the club. But, again, it's like the Duncan Ferguson shout, where some people are saying, if Duncan Ferguson comes in, he'd get us relegated, where you've got absolutely there's about as much proof as to that Duncan Ferguson would win Everton the Premier League as there is that he'd get relegated. And that's fact. There's no solid proof that if Duncan Ferguson come in, Everton would get relegated, in the same way as there's no solid proof that if Duncan Ferguson come in, Everton would win the league. Because you can't say it either way. And we don't know if Rafa Benitez is going to be a success or not. What we do know, or what it certainly seems at the moment, and he hasn't been announced yet, of course, like I said, things can change in football in an instant. He could have the pen in his hand, ready to write that signature on that piece of paper, whether it be tomorrow or Sunday or Monday, whenever it is, and the pen might run out of ink, and someone might say, got Fiorentina on the phone here, they're offering you a little bit more money, and he might say, you know what, don't bother getting me another pen, I'm getting off. Anything could happen in football, but it looks at the moment like it will be Rafa Benitez. Again, like I said, over the last week or so, we haven't really heard any other names being thrown in the hat, and we're seeing a lot of reports and rumours now as to state that the Benitez deal is getting closer and closer. And he is obviously the manager that the board believe is the best man and the most experienced man to take Everton forward and to turn Everton into a success. What I do think the club need to do, if it is Benitez, once he's announced, is Everton need to come out and sit down. Marcel Brands needs to come out and sit down, whether it's with Benitez or without Benitez, sit in front of a camera and tell us what the plan is. Where do Everton want to be? Because Everton, it's all well and good coming out in AGM meetings and saying Everton want to be fighting in the Champions League in the next 4 or 5 years. Everton want to be fighting for the league titles in the next 4 or 5 years. But do we actually have the ambition to do that? Because it's all well and good coming out in meetings and saying this is what we want, this is where we want to be, this is what we want to achieve. But do the board, do the higher ups at Everton Football Club, do the owners actually have the ambition to achieve that? Or are they just happy to sit back and say that's what we want to do to appease fans, but then actually in reality sit back and go, do you know what, no, we're happy with 10th position, we're happy with finishing bang, mid-table in the Premier League, because it guarantees us this and it guarantees us that. So I think for me, again, I've said it before, the communication is key, and some fans don't think that communication is key, and some fans don't think that Everton have to communicate. I personally think that if it is Rafa Benitez, the club are going to have to sit down and they're going to have to tell us what the plan is, why he's the right man for the job, where we're going to be. Are they going to come out and say, we just wanted a safe pair of hands to get us to the stadium and to keep us sort of afloat for the moment? Or are they going to come out and say, no, Rafa Benitez genuinely could be the manager to take us forward and win titles and get us challenging in European competitions? Because maybe he can be. Again, he's experienced, he's a good tactician, of course, he's been there before, he's done it before. I don't think he will be, personally, but that's not to say that he won't be. And I hope he is. Said it on the video the other day, I hope he is. If it's Rafa Benitez as the new Everton manager, I hope he's a success. I hope that he gets nothing but success at Everton Football Club, because I just can't subscribe, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. and everyone's entitled to their own feelings, and I'm not going to be one of these Blues that demands that everybody gets behind the manager. Look, if you don't want to get behind the manager, that's fine. If you don't want to go to Goodison Park and watch Everton, that's fine. If you don't want to watch Everton on the television, if you don't want to buy the merchandise, if you don't support the appointment, and you want to allow your feelings to be known to the club and to the board, then that's absolutely fine. But I can't do that, and I can't subscribe to this wanting Everton to fail because of a certain manager in the dugout. I wasn't a big fan of Sam Allardyce. I never wanted Sam Allardyce, and it was horrible. It was a horrible time in the history of Everton Football Club. Did that mean that I was going to Goodison Park hoping we lost games so Sam Allardyce got sacked? Absolutely not. There will be no circumstance whatsoever where I will ever want Everton to lose. I don't care who's managing the team in the dugout. I don't care what players are on the pitch. I don't care what team is close to winning the league and might win it if we win or mightn't win it if we don't win. I don't care whatsoever. There will never, ever, ever be a scenario where I don't want Everton to go out and win a game of football. Never. Because my love for Everton outweighs my dislike or my disinterest or my hate for anything else on this in football, teams, managers, players, whatever. So there will never be a situation where I don't want Everton to be the best that Everton can be. And if we're sitting here saying, I hope he fails, I hope we fail because then he'll be sacked. Well, what? You hope he fails for a season? You hope he fails for 12 months, 18 months. What does that ultimately mean? That Everton fail for another 12 or 18 months? Do we want to be sitting here again in a year's time having the same conversations about Everton being a mid-table, mediocre team who have achieved nothing and probably won't achieve anything anytime soon? Or would we rather be sitting here saying, do you know what, we mightn't like him, we mightn't have agreed with the appointment, but he's just won our first trophy in 30 years, or he's just gotten us in the Champions League for the first time in 20 years? Because I'd much rather the latter. I don't think that Rafa Benitez will be a success at Everton, but I hope he is if it is him who comes in. I really hope he is, because all as I want is Everton to be a success. Anyway, let's get into the latest news on the Rafa Benitez stuff, because it's all well and good me sitting here and chatting about it and moaning about it in it, but you're probably sitting there going, Cam, what is actually the latest news? Because you're just rambling crap at the moment. And we will get into the live comments in a moment, by the way, so please do get your comments in if you're watching live. If you're enjoying it, don't forget to leave a like, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. That would mean an absolutely great deal to me. The latest is coming from the Liverpool Echo, and this was reported about 15-16 minutes ago. They have said that the suggestion that Rafa Benitez will be interested in the Fiorentina job have been rubbished as Everton continue to work on his appointment. It was hoped that his appointment will be done earlier this week, but his contract has taken longer than thought. Now that is referring to some rumours that broke last night from Italian media as to state that Rafa Benitez is in talks with Fiorentina to potentially take over there, and obviously the Echo coming out and basically saying that that's a load of crap and that he's still very much in talks with Everton. Everton want to get the appointment done, and it's just a case of the contract. The Independent come out a couple of hours ago and said that unless there is a massive change of heart from Everton, Rafa Benitez will be the new Everton manager next week. Alisher Usmanov is said to have sought the advice of Chelsea's Roman Abramovich on Benitez. Not really too sure why, to be perfectly honest with you, but there you go. Alisher Usmanov, who we all know is involved in Everton in some way, shape or another. Don't know how he's involved in legal terms, but he's obviously involved. Not really sure why Roman Abramovich is sticking his neck in, but there you go. The Independent also said that Benitez is said to be excited about the prospect of returning to the Premier League with a club with so much potential. He understands the pressure he will face and that there will be very little margin for error, which is important because he's right. He will face a lot of pressure and there will be very little margin for error. I've said it before, you know, and I said before about a situation where if Everton, if Everton have gone, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, 6 games without a win, and we're 2-0 down at Anfield and their fans are singing his name, Evertonians won't stand for that and they'll want him out, and that's right. But the flip side of that is, imagine we've gone 4, 5, 6, 7 games with a win and we're 3-0 up at Anfield and our fans are singing his name and their fans are all frustrated. There's two sides to the story, of course, there always is, and it could turn out to be a positive and Rafa Benitez could be the best manager Everton have had in recent years, or he could be another Marco Silva, another Ronald Koeman, another Carlo Ancelotti, another Roberto Martinez, ultimately another manager on massive money that fails at the football club. And who's that down to? You know, I'm seeing a lot at the moment about Rafa Benitez and a lot of people going at Rafa Benitez and having a go at Rafa Benitez. Why are we having a go at a man who is out of a job, has applied for the job, and is potentially being given a job? If we're not happy with that appointment, shouldn't we be unhappy with the Everton board who are entertaining him coming in the first place and then potentially giving him the job? Why are we unhappy? Let's strip it down to the basics. Rafa Benitez is out of a job, living in the area, a big job's come up, it'll probably pay him a lot of money, it's a big opportunity, and he's applied. Are we unhappy at a man for applying for the job, or are we unhappy at the owners of the football club for employing that man? Because if you're unhappy about the Rafa appointment, you should be unhappy with the board, not with Rafa Benitez, because he's done nothing wrong in this situation. I get that people are frustrated about him because of what he said previously and where he's been. I get it. But it's not his fault that the club have had 4 or 5 rounds of talks with him. It's not his fault that the club are in heavy negotiations and are sorting out a contract to bring him in as the new manager, is it? You know, what's he going to do? Turn around and go, actually, I'm not going to apply for this job, or I don't want this job because I know that the Everton fans will be absolutely fuming. If he thinks he's the right man for the job and he can do a good enough job, he's obviously going to apply. It was down to the club to go, do you know what? That probably won't be the best move for us at the moment. But maybe they think it will be the best move for us. Maybe they're looking at it going, okay, fans are furious and fans are frustrated, but what if he comes in and wins us a trophy? Let's ask that in the comments. Just to play devil's advocate a bit. And again, I've said it, given my feelings on Rafa Benitez before. I don't think he's the right man for the job, and I don't want him at Everton. But if, for those that are completely and utterly against the Benitez stuff, which is understandable, and a lot of people are at that point now, if I said to you now, Rafa Benitez comes in tomorrow, signs on the dotted line as the new Everton manager, and Everton win the FA Cup and finish 5th next season, would you say to me now, get it done? Or would you still rather not have Rafa Benitez because of the connection? Let us know in the live comments. Anyway, the Independent were present about an hour or so ago, and they said a close source to the situation has said that this is the greatest gamble in history of Merseyside football. It'll either be a shambles or a huge success. There is no middle ground. Not too sure who that source is or who's close to the situation who's saying that. Probably Bill Kenwright or somebody at Everton going, it could be a disaster, but there you go. No, we don't know, but that's the latest on the Rafa Benitez stuff from the Independent. TalkSport were also, also come out and released an article about an hour or so ago. They said that the appointment of Rafa Benitez as Everton manager is close and could be confirmed this weekend. Farhad Moshiri is pushing through the appointment despite the fan protests and concerns from other members of the Everton board. That was echoed by Alex Kruk, who works for TalkSport, who said that Rafa Benitez is closer than ever to being named Everton manager, and that was earlier on this morning. So where we currently are is Everton are very much still working on Rafa Benitez being the new manager. There's nothing to announce yet because, nothing's been announced. The Echo are reporting that the rumours linking him with a move to Fiorentina are complete and utter rubbish, and Everton would have hoped to have had the deal done by now, but they're still working on a contract. Rafa Benitez apparently is excited about the prospect of returning to the Premier League with a club with so much potential, and he understands the pressure he will face and that there will be little margin for error. The rumours regarding Fiorentina were from Sara Mini last night, who come out and said Rafa Benitez is said to be a candidate for Fiorentina, and Fiorentina is said to be talking with Rafa Benitez. So that was where they were last night. That was the rumour last night, but the Liverpool Echo have since come out and and basically squashed those rumours completely and said that isn't happening. So from what we know at the moment, just trying to get the latest news so we haven't missed anything, from what we know at the moment is that Rafa Benitez is still very much the leading candidate for the Everton job, and let's be honest, is probably going to get the Everton job, isn't he? It's probably going to be Rafa Benitez. It really, really is. And look, we've spoken about Rafa Benitez a lot in the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, and I'm sure we'll talk about him a lot more in the coming 2 or 3 weeks if he is announced as Everton manager. The positives and the negatives that could bring. Benitez is a name and is a manager. What I would say on behalf of Rafa Benitez is that he is a manager, well, not on behalf of Rafa Benitez, but about Rafa Benitez, is that he is a manager that, is used to putting up with that pressure and that criticism. He done it at Chelsea. There's a video going around on Twitter at the moment about Rafa Benitez being booed when he's actually introduced to the Stamford Bridge crowd on his opening game as Chelsea manager, and look, he ended up putting up with that pressure, didn't he, and winning them a European trophy, which was massive. It really, really was massive. So, again, Benitez coming out and saying he understands the pressure and he understands there's very little margin for error. I probably believe that. I think he probably does understand it. The pressure of managing Chelsea Football Club when you're being an ex-manager, and the pressure of managing Everton Football Club, being an ex-Liverpool manager, and the pressure of managing Everton Football Club when you're being an ex-Liverpool manager is completely and utterly different. The pressure he'll come under at Goodison Park will be 10 times what he come under at Stamford Bridge, especially if things aren't going well for him. Do we think he'll be booed on the opening day of the season? No. One of the big reasons as to why I don't believe that is I think if the first game of the season is the first time that Evertonians are back at Goodison Park in full capacity, 40,000 Evertonians, I don't think anybody really cares who's on the touchline. I certainly won't be caring if it's Rafa Benitez. I won't care if it's Mr. Bean. I won't care if it's me. I won't care if it's Pep Guardiola, or I won't care if Carlo Ancelotti comes out and goes, "What are you on about, lads? I've never actually ever gone to Real Madrid. I'm still living in Formby all over here. It's their boss and I ride to Southport every day." And honestly, I don't care. I just want to go and watch Everton again, because I haven't watched Everton in over 18 months, which is a long time. Watched Everton in the flesh, of course. So, yeah, again, look, it seems like it's going to be Benitez. I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's the right move for the club. I don't like the football that he plays. I don't think that he's at that level that some people maybe think he is. Yes, he's a winner, and yes, he's won things in the past, but it was a long time ago, and football's changed an awful lot since then. But, again, I'll be backing the club, and I'll back the decision until I'm proven right or wrong, ultimately. And look, I think if it is Benitez, I think I'll be sitting here in 12 months' time talking about who's going to be the new Everton manager, because Benitez hasn't been good enough. But I might be massively wrong. One thing I would say is Rafa Benitez's bar is very, very, very low. Very, very low. At the start of his Everton career, he's coming in with no expectation whatsoever. Everyone's expecting him to fail. Let's be honest, there's not one Evertonian out there who's looking at this situation going, actually, I expect Rafa Benitez to win the league with Everton. I expect Rafa Benitez to take Everton into the Champions League. No. There's not one Evertonian thinking like that. Most Evertonians, most of us, are expecting Rafa Benitez to be a big, utter failure, and for us to then turn around and have a go at the board. And look, if Rafa Benitez is a failure, if he doesn't succeed at Everton, then I do think serious conversations need to be had about the Everton board. I do think we need to sit down and really go, actually, do you know what? Are these people at the top, are the owners of the football club, are the decision makers at the football club good enough to make the right decisions for the football club? Because again, it will be the 6th, 7th appointment that hasn't worked. You're looking at Roberto Martinez, didn't work. Ronald Koeman, didn't work. Sam Allardyce, done a job, but ultimately was never a long-term solution. You're looking at Marco Silva, didn't work. Carlo Ancelotti, okay, come in and was maybe working, but obviously has left, so ultimately didn't work. And the way I see Rafa Benitez is in a very similar situation to Sam Allardyce, not in regards to as a manager, because Rafa Benitez has won a lot more than Sam Allardyce and is capable of getting a lot more out of a squad than Sam Allardyce is. But in the terms of that, I do think it's a short-term appointment, and I just don't think that's what Everton needed. I think this was a big opportunity for Everton to hit reset, go out and get a young, hungry, pragmatic, energetic manager who's going to come in and really take on the project of Everton and propel us into, a top team. Because you look at the teams around Everton at the moment, you've got Leicester, who have obviously already overtaken Everton in regards to their structure, their recruitment, the way in which that club is run. That club is run absolutely brilliantly, much better than Everton. Everton has run like a shit show, and Leicester are run perfectly. So Leicester will move above Everton. Aston Villa run a lot better than Everton are. Will likely finish above Everton next season if we don't have a good season, because again, they're very close at the moment, and they're bringing in some really good players, really good players. Emi Buendia, brilliant player. Yes, they might have to sell Jack Grealish, but they'll reinvest that money in the right areas. They've got a structure, they've got a plan, they know where they want to be. They know where they can get to. They know what they have to do to get there. Even Brighton under Graham Potter, okay, they mightn't have the resources, they mightn't have the playing staff at the moment, but some of the signings Brighton are being linked with and are making are looking really exciting for them. They've got a good, pragmatic young manager who knows how to play attacking football, and with a better group of players and a better quality of player, might become a mid-table Premier League team in the next couple of years. Now, if Everton don't start to progress and Everton continue to just float about in this purgatory of mid-table mediocrity and not really knowing where we want to be and not, never really going down or being relegated, but also never really challenging the top 6 or 5, whatever, then we will get overlapped by these clubs. We will get overlapped by Aston Villa. We'll get overlapped by Brighton in years to come. And you might laugh and go, don't be silly, Brighton will never finish above Everton. Brighton's structure at the moment, the way Brighton and Hove Albion are run as a football club, the manager Brighton have got in at the moment to run that project and to run that football club, the director of football and the way he speaks and what he is allowed to do is a much more or much better ran engine or better ran machine, whatever, than what Everton is at the moment. It truly is. And yes, Brighton are a bigger club than Everton, and yes, they don't have the resources that Everton have or the playing staff, but they're in a better situation in terms of how their club is run than Everton are. I can tell you that for a fact. So, listen, again, a lot of Evertonians disagree with the appointment of Benitez. A lot of Evertonians are starting to warm to it. That's what I think we've seen over the last week or so. Last week it was like 80-90% of Evertonians that let me put another poll in, actually, because we done a poll in one of the streams, and I think it was 70% said no to Rafa Benitez. So let me put another poll in the live comments for you to all vote on, and we can let me know. Again, simple poll: are you happy with Rafa Benitez being the new Everton manager? I've put that out there. It should be coming into the live comments shortly. If you're watching live, get your votes in, vote on that poll. 204 people watching live. If you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a great deal to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. That would mean a perfect amount to me. That doesn't even make sense. It would mean a great deal to me. And if you're watching live, get your votes in on that poll. We'll be going through the poll a little bit later on in the live stream as well. So let us know your thoughts. It's simple: yes or no. Are you happy with Rafa Benitez coming in as Everton manager? Because we've all had a week now, an extra week for it to settle, haven't we? We first heard the information about 10-15 days ago, something like that. Everybody was dead against it at that point. Nobody wanted them to come in. It then sort of become more and more apparent that it was a real possibility and that Everton were actually talking to Rafa Benitez and that the board were considering that. We then had an even bigger period of, fan frustration. Obviously, we had seen the banners outside the Goodison Park. We've seen the social media fallout and this, that and the other. And then over the last week, because of how quiet things have been and because of the lack of any real information or any real rumours, and it seems like we've entered that period of acceptance. And Kieran says it in the comments. He says, what's happening, Kieran? By the way, we will get in the comments in a moment. He says the embarrassment, that's Dan says the embarrassment will be too much when we lose the derby this season. Is going to be toxic. Well, that's the risk. That's the risk, that we have a toxic season and that, Rafa Benitez just, again, can't get a tune out of these players, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, by the way, because these players have let down 4, 5, 6 managers. They're not good enough. But Kieran says, I'm not happy, but I'm starting to accept it. Whoever we get in charge, I'll back 100%. And I think that's where a lot of Evertonians are at the moment, is we might be happy with the appointment, but because we understand that it's probably the likely outcome, we're all just sort of starting to go, all right. And, some people aren't happy when you say, I've accepted it, because they go, how can you accept that? It's not good enough. Don't accept mediocrity. But ultimately, we don't know if Rafa Benitez is going to be mediocre, do we? What you could say Nuno Espirito Santo wouldn't bring success to Everton. You could say Graham Potter wouldn't bring success to Everton. Now, obviously, those managers haven't managed Liverpool before, and certainly like Graham Potter is a little bit more pragmatic, attacking football, nice football, etc, etc. But you could say that they would bring mid-table mediocrity. Rafa Benitez is a winner. He's won Champions Leagues, he's won European Cups, he's won trophies, he's a good tactician. So he could be a successor at Everton. I don't think he will be personally, but he could be. But I do think we're at this point now, aren't we? Most of us as a fan base, where it's sort of just become accepted, and we're starting to try and convince ourselves of the positives as to why Rafa Benitez wouldn't actually be the worst appointment in the world. You're seeing it on Twitter and social media. If you're on Twitter, you'll see that one day you'll have somebody going, no, I don't want him, he's awful, he's this, that, the other, he's ex-Liverpool manager, he's shite, this, that and the other. And a couple of days later, the same person will probably go, I've actually convinced myself that it wouldn't be too bad of an appointment. I done it with Nuno. I sat there for the first week 2 weeks of Everton's manager search, and I said I absolutely don't want Nuno Espirito Santo. I don't think he's good enough. His season at Wolves last season was poor, and I just don't think it's the appointment Everton need to make. And then when all that news come out that he was on the brink of signing for Everton, which obviously ended up to be utter nonsense, I sort of convinced myself that it wouldn't be too bad. Now it's going to take a lot more convincing for me to believe that Rafa Benitez is the right man for the job, but I do think we're at a point now where we're in a period of sort of just going, do you know what? It is what it is, and move on. And I think a large part and parcel as to reason as to why we're at that point in regards to being it is what it is and we have to move on is because Everton players are due back at Finch Farm in the next 10 days. And if you think, Cam, what's the relevance behind talking about the players being back at Finch Farm within the next 10 days? The relevance behind that is that the season is slowly but surely creeping up on us. And I get that we're still in the middle of the Euros, and I get that pre-season hasn't started, and I get all of that. But like I said, other than those players at the Euros, the majority of Everton's squad and Everton's current playing staff are due back at Finch Farm next Monday. So not Monday coming up, the Monday after. Now, Everton really, really, really need to get a manager in, get it done and dusted. If it's Rafa Benitez, and Rafa Benitez has agreed to join Everton, and Everton believe Rafa Benitez is the right man for the job, then there's not much we can do about that then as fans. We can let our frustrations be known, we can let our, opinions be known and be heard by the club, and of course I would suggest, if you're not happy with the appointment, then everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I just really now want to get it over and done with, because I'm really getting bored of the whole who's it going to be today, who's the top of the odds list today, who's being rumoured now. Is it Rafa Benitez still, or is it Nuno, or is it Graham Potter? I just want us to get it done and dusted so we can move on to looking at the playing staff, because let's be perfectly honest, it doesn't matter if it's Rafa Benitez, if it's Graham Potter, if it's Harry Potter, if it's Carlo Ancelotti, if it's me, if it's the fella who works in the chippy on County Road, it doesn't matter who stood on that sideline. The same problem still persists, and that is that a large part of this current Everton group of players are not good enough to represent Everton Football Club. They're not quick enough, they're not mobile enough, they're not technical enough, they don't understand the league, they're not good enough, they're not motivated enough. So it doesn't matter who's on that sideline. Rafa Benitez can't come in, put a kit on and start playing footy for Everton. He can't do it. Carlo Ancelotti couldn't do it. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most decorated managers of all time, one of the biggest names in football, still is one of the biggest names in football, couldn't get a tune out of a lot of these players. And the reason for that is because a lot of these players aren't good enough. And we all sat here 3-4 weeks ago, prior to Carlo Ancelotti leaving, when we spoke about the end of the season and we done the season review, and we said, let's be honest, although it wasn't nice football at times last season, we all understand that Carlo Ancelotti's working with a group of players that just simply aren't good enough to be where Everton want to be, or to be where he wanted to be in terms of challenging in Europe and finishing in the European competitions. So, regardless of who the manager is, regardless of if it's Rafa Benitez and if we agree with that or not, the same issues still persist, and that is that a lot of players at Everton Football Club shouldn't be here because they're not good enough, and a lot of them need replacing. And I just want Everton to bring in a manager, get it done and dusted, push it to one side, and now go and look at bringing in some quality top players, a right back. We're players are due back at Finch Farm in a week, and we still haven't signed a right back. We still haven't got a right back going into next season. And I get you might say, oh yeah, Cam, but the season doesn't start till August. This time in 2 months, Everton will be in 2 weeks into the season. And we haven't got a right back, we haven't got a right winger, we haven't got a left winger, we haven't got another centre midfielder, which is what we need, we haven't got a centre back, which is what we need, we haven't got a backup striker, which we desperately need as well. So I'm bored of the whole manager stuff now. I just wanted to get whoever it is, and it probably is going to be Benitez, get him announced, get it done, get it dusted, push it to the side, let it digest, let it settle. Fans may digest it and think, actually, do you know what, it's not the worst thing, or that mightn't be the case. But if that's the decision that the club are going to make anyway, then just make it. Don't sit here halfway through next week going, oh shit, we're dead scared to announce this because no one's going to like it. If that's the decision you've made, grow a pair of balls and announce it and say, this is the manager, this is who's taking us forward. Now, let's push that to one side and let's look at bringing in 4, 5, 6 quality players that we desperately need, because we do. Because it doesn't matter who's going to manage the football club. If Rafa Benitez goes into next season with this current Everton group, we're not going to achieve anything. Because the players aren't good enough. A lot of the players aren't good enough. A lot of the players shouldn't be anywhere near Everton's first team. So that's one thing I would say, is if it is Rafa Benitez and that deal is decision is being made and the deal is done and Everton Football Club have made that decision, get it announced. Get it announced. Don't waste any more time. Get it announced, and then let's start looking at who we can bring in at right back. Is Denzel Dumfries still an option? It'd be a brilliant sign. Who we can bring in on the wing? Leon Bailey, Moussa Diaby. Any of these players are an option to come in. And all of a sudden, the Rafa Benitez stuff becomes a second thought to everyone then. Because we're sitting here on live streams talking about players that we could be bringing in and players that could improve. Because let's be honest, would we rather have Rafa Benitez managing Rafael Lau and Denzel Dumfries and Leon Bailey and Moussa Diaby next season? Not saying that's a realistic example, but would we rather have that, or would we rather have Graham Potter managing Andre Gomez, Alex Iwobi and Fabian Delph? You might say Graham Potter because he's more for the future and he'd be accepted more by fans, but I want the players. I want Everton to go out and bring in better quality of players, because that's the way we improve the squad. That's the way we become a better footballing team, by bringing in better players. Yes, the manager is a massive part of that, and the manager might be a success, he might be a success, but the manager at the moment, okay, he's at the top of everyone's conversation and it's at the top of the priority list for Everton, but Everton should really be careful, because we're now looking at a situation where we're thinking, actually, do you know what? Before we know it, in the next couple of weeks or so, the Euros will be finished and the season will be fast approaching, and we still haven't replaced a lot of these players that simply aren't good enough. If you're enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. Over 200 people in the live stream, 225 people in the live stream, only 60 likes. If you could hit that thumbs up button, it would mean a great deal to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Only takes a second. We're flying towards that 5,000 subscriber mark now. Hit 4,500 subscribers the other day, so if you could subscribe if you're new, that would mean a great deal to me. Let's get into some of the live comments then before we go further on. I'll talk a bit more about the management stuff. I want to talk about Lucas Digne as well. There's been an update on Lucas Digne's injury, of course. Picked up an injury in France's 2-2 draw with Portugal on Wednesday night. I want to say, yeah, Wednesday night. Let's look at the poll anyway. Before we get into the comments, let's look at where the poll is up to. So 101 votes so far on the poll. Are you happy with Rafa Benitez? 45% have said yes. 55% have said no. So that's already, although it's still weighing towards no, that's already a much lesser percentage than what it was the other day. When we done this poll on Monday or Tuesday, it was like 75% no, and the rest was yes, 25% yes. So it's already, you can tell it's starting to warm with fans. It's starting to, we're not warming to the idea of Benitez, but we're accepting that this is probably the eventuality. And it's like, yeah, well, if that's going to be the case, then what, we may as well get behind them. By the way, don't forget to vote on that poll. It is in the live comments if you're watching live. Get your votes in and let us know your thoughts. It's a simple question. Are you happy with Rafa Benitez now that we're another week down the line? We've done this poll on Tuesday. We're a few days down the line now. Are you happy? Yes or no? Anyway, let's get into the live comment. Ricky says, no, sorry, I'll never warm to Benitez. It sums him up too, coming here after what he said about us, our fans treated like shite by this club. Well, yeah, look, a lot of fans won't warm to Rafa Benitez, and I'm not expecting fans to warm to Rafa Benitez. And I'm not saying that if he comes in as Everton manager, I'll automatically love him, and I think he's the best thing ever. I'll never have that relationship with any other football manager again. Carlo Ancelotti's broke me. Absolutely broke me. I looked at Carlo Ancelotti 5-6 weeks ago and thought, I love this fella. He's absolutely boss. He's one of the best managers in the world, one of the best managers to ever, to ever manage in the game, to ever be a part of the game. And he's coming out and he's saying, Everton are my club, I love this club, I can't wait to take this club forward. I was sitting here going, I love Carlo Ancelotti, he is absolutely boss. And then he fucked off to Madrid because he couldn't be arsed living in Crosby anymore. So I'll never have that relationship with any other manager or player for that sake ever again. So I'm not expecting people to like Rafa Benitez. I'm not expecting people to forgive him or to accept, or to say, oh yeah, everything's all right now. He's the best thing since sliced bread, and I won't be like that. I certainly won't be like that. But if he's the manager Everton have chosen, and the manager Everton believe is the right man for the job, then I'll back Everton because I'm an Evertonian. Nothing's going to stop me from going to Goodison Park. Nothing will stop me supporting Everton Football Club. So if he's in the dugout, then I'll get behind. I'll get behind the club and I'll get behind the team. And let's be honest, he could be a success. Who knows? He could be a success. Where are we then? Where are we? And Leicester Fan Channel says, from an outsider fan, it seems like an easy option for the short term and not the risk it takes to build a long-term project. That's my issue with it, mate. That's honestly my issue with it, is it seems like a short-term solution to a long-term problem. It seems like the easy option for Everton to go for. Carlo Ancelotti's left. Oh my God, shit. What do we do now? Right, we can either hit the restart button and go out and get a young, pragmatic manager who's going to come in and galvanise the club and galvanise the squad, or we can go and get a like-for-like replacement to Carlo Ancelotti. Okay, he's got a Liverpool connection and fans don't really like him, but he's an easy option. It's the easy manager to go for. He wants the job. We can say, oh, he's dead experienced. He's won loads of titles, this, that and the other. And that's where I sort of think the club are at the moment. But look, Handman says, guys, forget about our coach, support the team. You have to support the team. Eggy said, I'd rather Bobby Brown choose. I wouldn't, to be fair. I would, because, yeah, I just don't think Roberto Martinez is good enough. I don't know whether I'd rather him than Rafa Benitez, but I don't want Roberto Martinez back. Phil says, where is the pride of being an Evertonian gone? Would they have had Howard Kendall? We're Everton and he's a cop-out. Never can. They have broken me. Moshiri's clueless and not a Scouser. He's definitely not a Scouser. But look, again, it's mad, isn't it? Because it's mad in how football's different in other countries. Because it's very tribal in England. It is very, very tribal, and you've just seen Hakan Calhanoglu has just left AC Milan and gone to Inter Milan, and we're not really reading much about it. It's not a massive uproar in Italy because that happens often. Players move from rival clubs, managers move from rival clubs, and those situations go on constantly. And I think that's why you see a lot of other countries get behind their national teams a lot more than you do in England, because there's a lot more tribalism in football in England. That's not accepted. You wouldn't think that rival managers would go between clubs, rival players would go between clubs, because of how. I don't know whether we're more emotional or I wouldn't say we're more attached. Like I said, it's just more of a tribal feeling, isn't it? And ultimately, this is why we're in this situation with Rafa Benitez. But maybe Farhad Moshiri's looking at it thinking, well, it's not much of an issue in Italy or Spain when this happens, so why is it much of an issue here? Bruno says, hi Cam, not an easy option, mate. I wanted Rafa before Carlo. Will do a very good job. Give him a chance. Come on, you Blues. Fair enough. Molly says, Moshiri's out. Moshiri out. He's clueless. Doesn't think about us fans and is not fair. Yes, obviously support the team, but it's hard when the manager's a traitor. But he's not a traitor to us, is he? He's a traitor to Liverpool at the moment. Because he's joining us after joining them. Jay says, would you take Steven Gerrard? Is that impossible? I wouldn't take Steven Gerrard, mate. I wouldn't. I really, really wouldn't. And it probably is impossible at the moment, but I wouldn't take him. Official Keane says, think Rafa will use as a stepping stone. He'll bring another Carlo when another big club comes in for him. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Jonathan says, your polls is what the board expected, hence why they leaked it weeks ago and still nothing. Molly says, it's just not normal to bring in Rafa. It's like Klopp coming to Everton in a few years. My season ticket will be sold straight away. You can have a Cam. I've got my own, Molly. Thanks, but I've got my own. No, and I get that. Midnight says Galtier is not coming, so who do people want? I'm curious. John says we are backward here because we are Islanders. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And look, I get it. I get the frustration. I get that a lot of people are put off by the Liverpool connection and his past, and I get all of that. I do. Do Everton understand that? Probably not a lot, because I think they wouldn't have made this decision if they did. But maybe Everton are just dead on certain. Maybe all it's a case of is that Everton had interviewed a number of managers. I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 managers, however many managers it was. Maybe it's a case of that Everton had interviewed a number of those managers, and Rafa Benitez was the one that interviewed the best. Rafa Benitez was the one that impressed the best. Rafa Benitez was the one that Marcel Brands, Farhad Moshiri, Bill Kenwright, whoever else was in that meeting went, no, do you know what? He's the best man for the job. His presentation's been the most impressive. What he's saying is the most impressive. He can work with the budgets that we've got at the football club. He can work with where we want to be. Maybe that's all it was, that Rafa Benitez interviewed the best and therefore was determined to be the best man for the job. look, we don't know. It's certainly gonna create it has created a lot of a divide. And again, one of my big reasons for not wanting Rafa Benitez was because I just don't think we're a club at the moment that can afford another divide. Said it before and I'll say it again. We needed a manager that was going to come in and galvanise the club, galvanise the fans, have everybody singing off of the same hymn sheet and working in the same direction. But and Rafa Benitez won't do that, because there will be a lot of divide, and there will be a lot of there'll now be a lot of fans that aren't happy and go as far as to say, I'm not going to the match, or I'm not watching Everton, or I'm not supporting. And there'll be a lot of fans that aren't happy and will accept it, and there'll be a lot of fans that maybe are happy and go, yeah, do you know what, he's the right man for the job, bring him in, who cares about who he's managed before. But I do think that acceptance stage is settled in for a lot of Blues now. I think a lot of Blues are at that point where they just go, do you know what, we can't do anything about it. It is what it is. For me personally, I'm bored. I just want it over and done with. If the board have made a decision on Rafa Benitez, I don't agree with that. And I personally think we'll be sat here in 12 months' time having the same conversations about who's going to come in as the new manager. But if that's the decision you've made, make it official, announce it, grow a pair of balls, and let's just get it done. And let's just... let's look forward now, and let's go and bring in some better players, because that's desperately what we need, isn't it? But yeah, let's wait and see. Anyway, let's get to the start of the comments. Don't forget, you got more than enough time to vote on that poll in the live comments. I'm not sure where it currently is in the comments. Don't know whether it goes to the top or whether you've got to scroll up. I'm not really too sure. Molly says, Cam, do you have an Instagram for this channel, or like a fan account? We're on Twitter. Twitter is at MightyBluesYT. We're on Twitter, and we are on Instagram as well. I think it's MightyBluesDFC on Instagram. We don't use Instagram much, so if you're following us for Everton updates, I wouldn't, because we don't really use it, because I'm not really a big fan of it. But we're on Twitter every single day, updates constantly every single day. So yeah, that poll is somewhere in the stream, don't know where, but it's somewhere there. 153 people have voted on it. 54% currently aren't happy with Rafa Benitez. Simple question: are you happy with Rafa? Yes or no? 54% say no. Get your votes in on that one as well as the stream goes on, and we'll look at the final results towards the end of it. So anyway, into the live comments. RCO2 says City getting Grealish and Kane is mental. Well, that's the rumours, isn't it? The rumours today are that Manchester City are willing to bid 100 million for Jack Grealish. Interesting. I like Jack Grealish. I do. Do I think he's worth 100 million? Debatable, but I like him. Oh, we've had a super chat. £20. That's unbelievable. £20 from Amanda Stevens. Thank you very much, Amanda. I really, really do appreciate it. Honestly, that means a massive amount to me. You didn't have to do that. £20. That's unbelievable, Amanda. Thank you so much. Amanda says, need to make Rafa know today. And then bring in the players that he would be able to bring in with brands. Yeah, I think you're going along the same lines there, Amanda. Again, big thanks for that donation. I really, really do appreciate it. Fantastic. That unbelievable. Really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. But no, you're right. Look, if it's Rafa Benitez for me, and the club have made that decision, and listen, I think the club will announce it once it's done. The reason I don't think we've had an announcement is because I don't think it's done. Now, that might be the fact that the contract hasn't been signed. That might be the fact that there's certain clauses that need ironing out. That might be the fact that the admin work hasn't been done on the deal. I don't know, but I do think that it hasn't been done yet, because if it was done, I think it'd be announced. But the moment that deal gets done, and Everton have chosen Rafa Benitez and believe he's the right man for the job, get it announced. Get it announced, and let's all go, okay, that's the news that we were all expecting. That's the news that some people were dreading, some people weren't dreading, but that's the news that we were all expecting. Now it's there, it's done, we can push it to one side, and we can go and look at bringing in better players at Everton Football Club. I don't want them to have made the decision, get it all signed and sealed, and then spend 400 million years trying to go, well, actually, we don't know how to announce this because people aren't going to be happy. Listen, there's two ways Everton are going to do it. Everton are either going to spin a massive PR spin on it, and, come out and just a monumental PR move and make it look like the best thing ever, or they'll go the complete other way and go, there's no way we can make this appointment seem any more appealing to fans as to what it is at the moment. There's no amount of PR work or anything will turn those Everton fans that are really frustrated at the moment into being like, oh yeah, I'm happy now. So let's just announce it, put out a bland statement. This is the new manager. This is why he's the new manager. this is where we want to be in the future. Now we're going to look at bringing in players and do it that way. I think it'll be the latter, but you never know. You never know. Once again, a big thanks, Amanda, for that donation. I really do appreciate it. RCO2 says, City getting Grealish and Kane is mental. We said that before, yeah. Damien says, alright, Cam, looking like it's Rafa, mate. Yeah, does at the minute. Alan says, I don't care who we get at this point, just give us a manager. I'm not a fan of Benitez, but I'll back any manager that comes in to our football club. Well, there you go. Dan says, is Duncan involved? Involved in what, mate? Involved in the Benitez stuff? Involved in the man? I don't know. Involved in what? Let me know. I don't know if he's involved in anything. So, but I can have a guess if you let me know. What you think he's involved in? And it says Gerrard and Potter in for Spurs. Apparently, is that true? Gerrard and Potter, or Gerrard and Potter are both in the race for the Spurs job. I'm not too sure. I know Graham Potter was a name that Tottenham were seriously looking at, and I seen Gerrard was rumoured yesterday as well, but I don't know if there's any truth in that. Apparently today it's Nuno is the leading candidate for the Spurs job, so who knows. And says, hey up, Cam, what's happening? And Neil Satters and Izzy Optimum says, as long as Dunk is the assistant, I can live with it. Well, hopefully Dunk does stay about. One thing I would say about the Ancelotti, I'm getting flashbacks. One thing I would say about the Benitez appointment is that if it is to be Rafa Benitez, and he's given the choice, I said this on Toffee TV yesterday, I think he would be silly to tell Duncan Ferguson he hasn't got a job here. I think he'd be silly to not attempt to bring in Lee Carsley, who is a very good coach, and maybe a couple of other ex-Everton players, Tim Cahill of the likes, David Weir maybe, I don't know if he's retired now, but I think I think Rafa Benitez will be looking at this going, okay, a lot of Evertonians are against me, a lot of Evertonians don't want me in, how can I at least soften the blow slightly? Well, you know, if Rafa Benitez comes in and goes, no, I don't want Duncan Ferguson, I've basically told him to get off. Don't want this ex-Everton, I don't want Lee Carsley, he's not good enough. Then Everton, that'll be even worse for them. Not saying just go out and get any old Everton player for the sake of it. Obviously, they've got to be very good at the job, but we know Duncan Ferguson is very good at his job. We know that. He's part and parcel as to reasons why Dominic Calvert-Lewin's the player he is today. We know that Lee Carsley's very good at his job. He's a fantastic coach, so they'd be two great additions. Official Keane says, Cam, you getting yourself on TikTok? No, mate, I'm too old for that. I'm not even that old, but I just feel too old. No, unfortunately, I'm not getting on TikTok. The live comments have shortened, so I apologise if we've missed yours out. Jonathan says, Heady is going to wear a split scarf of Everton Liverpool. Imagine it, mate. Imagine the fume. Stephen says, Rafa will be sacked by Xmas. Big Dunk will get the job and save our season. Let's have it right what the derby's going to be like. Nah, I'm not down for all of this. Think I'm going to swerve it. Well, if it is Big Dunk to take over again and save us again, then maybe they'll just give it to Dunk permanently if that's the case. But look, we don't know what that'll be the case or not. Molly says, what's happened to Nuno? It looks like he's in talks with Spurs to become their new manager. But yeah, Stephen says, we're not skins, not believed, bro. RCO2 says, seems a bit disrespectful. Back Rafa and we could get somewhere. Willie says, afternoon, Cam, not happy with him, but I'll back him 100%. But I get this feeling we could be back at square one in 18 months. Either that or they're waiting on a manager after the Euros. I agree, mate. I agree. I've just got this horrible feeling that we'll be sat here in 12, 18 months' time having the same conversations about who's going to come in to be the new Everton manager, who's going to be the next Everton manager. And this is why I've got a big problem with bringing in short-term solutions to long-term problems, because it never usually works. But who knows? And look, Rafa hasn't been announced yet, so we're just talking about the latest speculation and news, of course. The Majestic Loon says, which is Gort, what's happening, Gort? He says, even though I'm against the appointment of Rafa, as a fan of the club, I'll back him 100%. Back the club. Look, we all want Everton to succeed. Whether we like Rafa Benitez or not. Whether we want him at Everton or not. Whether we like any other manager that's in the list. Whether we like any players being linked with Everton. Do we really want Everton as a football club to fail because of one individual? I never want Everton to fail. As I've said before, imagine there's two scenarios. Everton fail and are awful for the entirety of next season, and Rafa goes after one season and everyone's like, phew, thank God for that, he's got off now, but we've finished 10th again and we've had another season of mediocrity. Or Rafa does a good job, we win a cup and we finish in a European position and he stays for a further 2 or 3 years. What would you rather? Or he stays for the next year even. What would you rather? I'd rather the latter personally. I don't know about everyone. Look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, of course. RCO2 says Napoli, Liverpool, Valencia. We always spent buttons and took teams in our position to the top of the league. Jason says we wanted Carlo to stay. Exactly. Steve says players coming in way more important than the manager announcement. You're spot on, mate. Keith says mid-table the next couple of years. They're waiting for the new stadium, saving money. No ambition for the next couple of years. Rafa won't have the money to spend. There's another big issue with that, and FFP and all that. Don't forget to get your votes in, by the way, on the poll in the comments. Steve says lack of goals and assists, very worrying. Arsenal 2 says it's not mid-table. He got Newcastle 10s with no money. He'd do better with us with players and money. Well, again, let's not kid ourselves that Everton have got this great squad and this great set of players. We haven't. We haven't got this great squad and we haven't got a great set of players. We've got a dreadful squad that needs drastically improving. Danboy says, why can't Marcel Brands sign Nunes and Dumfries until a manager is here? What does Marcel do? Well, listen, Dumfries probably because of the Euros, and that's probably stalled that one if it was even close to happening anyway. And Nunes, apparently the rumours are that Everton are waiting for the appointment of a manager, probably to just give the go-ahead to the deal, and I'm sure that there won't be any issue with that. But I sort of agree, if Marcel Brands has got players in there that he wants to bring in that are completely Marcel Brands signings and we can get done and dusted before we bring in a manager, then get them done and dusted. What's the point in waiting around? You know, if we know that we can get them in, get them in. That's why Marcel Brands is here. I agree. Molly says, who's your preferred manager, Cam? I really don't know, to be honest, Molly, at the moment. I really don't know. I'm sort of... It was Galtier, but there's no chance of that happening now. I'm flipping behind just saying give it to Dunk and move on. But it's probably going to be Benitez, isn't it? So it doesn't really matter who my preferred manager is. It's probably going to be Benitez. Joe says, imagine he wins us a trophy. Just imagine. Imagine he is the Everton manager to break the trophies out. Imagine Rafa Benitez is the Everton manager to win us a trophy for the first time in what, 30 odd years, 25, 30 odd years. Imagine it. We don't know where the big uncle stay. Mate, hopefully he does, but we don't know. Ultimately, we don't know. Amanda says, Cam, do you think Wales will beat Denmark on Saturday? I'm not sure, to be honest, Amanda. I'm not sure. I think it'll be a difficult game. I think Denmark are a very good side. Obviously, a side that are in a lot of people's hearts now. But I don't know. It'll be a difficult game. Wales can beat Denmark. Of course they can, but it'll be a difficult game. Saeed says, let's get behind Rafa, but don't kill us further. Never let our club favourites go, no matter how much we offered. Jonathan says, Galtier still not signed, Cam. He hasn't. True, he hasn't. Tom says, FFP will make it very difficult to get top players. It will, but I don't think we necessarily need top players. I just think we need the right players. If they're not top, then that doesn't really matter for me as long as they're the right players. Molly says, yeah, I want Ferguson, to be honest. Give him a go. He saved us once. Give him again. No goals, no fun, says John. Ed says, what about Roy Hodgson? No. He also says Sam Allardyce is available. No. Ben says, I didn't get a notification for this video. Sorry, mate. Sorry. If you're enjoying, by the way, and you could hit that thumbs up button, it would mean a great deal to me. 6 likes off 100, so if you could hit that before we finish, that would be absolutely brilliant. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. That only takes a second. Liam says, generally good about not getting Nuno. He took Wolves well over their pedigree. Fair enough. And Molly says, what's your opinion on Rafa? I don't think he's the right man for the job. I don't think he's the right man to take Everton forward, to be honest with you. But there you go. Mike says, well, Cam, this looks like it, so let's be positive and support accordingly. There you go. Anyway, let's get into some of the latest news regarding other situations at Everton Football Club, not just the management stuff, because the management stuff, let's be honest, is getting rather tedious at the moment. Over 100 likes on it. Thank you very much, really appreciate it. Luca Dean, there's been an update on Luca Dean's condition. Obviously he picked up an injury in France's 2-2 draw with Portugal a couple of days ago. Everton announced yesterday that Luca Dean has undergone a scan yesterday and will continue to be assessed by the French medical team after sustaining a quadriceps injury in France's 2-2 draw with Portugal on Wednesday night. So obviously we're wishing Luca Dean a massive speedy recovery, and obviously we hope that Luca Dean can get back to fitness, hopefully for him before the end of the Euro, so we can have some impact on the rest of France's tournament. But if not, certainly ready for pre-season. to come up as well. So there you go. Hopefully Luca Dean has a very speedy recovery. Wishing him the best of luck. Wishing him well in his recovery. And like I said, hopefully he's ready to go again for pre-season, and he's fit to do that. And hopefully for him, he's back before the end of the Euros, although that's probably unlikely. Chris says, just on Jim White's TalkSport show, Benitez close staff around training ground being told, a couple ex-players on the staff, and Big Dunk almost certainly one of them. Again, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Molly says, who would you bring in player-wise? I'd love Dumfries. I'd love Rafael Lau from Milan. I'd love Diaby from Leverkusen. I'd love Bailey. Players of that ilk, young, hungry, athletic, physical players. Ed says, how does Duncan Ferguson always keep his job? Because he's a brilliant coach, mate. It's as simple as that. Whether we want to agree with it or not, he's a brilliant coach. Alan says, I'm not against Rafa, but surely it better give it to Dunk for a year and see what managers are available after the year. Done with get the passion back into the first team and get the right manager. Maybe. Look, we're going to finish this team up in about 2 or 3 minutes or so. So last chance to get your votes in on the poll. 229 votes on the poll so far. Still very much at 52% with Rafa Benitez. So we're going to finish it up at 27 minutes past 1. So get your votes in finally. It's somewhere in the stream. I don't know, it's at the top of the live comments or in around the middle. But it's a basic question. Are you happy with Rafa? Yes or no? Get your votes in and we'll be finishing that up in around about a minute's time. Jonathan says Lau for James would be for Hammers would be a great swap. That'd be brilliant, mate. That'd be brilliant. Whether it happen or not, I don't know. George says, I'd say it again, I'm not too bothered with the managers as long as I hope he does one. Georgie says club who Alan talks to manage Everton. Doubt that, mate. It's a Leicester fan in the comments in case you didn't know. And John says Duncan plays the long game, slow, accumulated of our money. I don't know what that sort of means. Molly says, Cam, can you say Jackie get the match, please? Jackie get the match, please. There you go. Don't know what that means. Don't know who that is, who Jackie is, but there you go. Hope you're alright, Jackie. Hamid says he is human. Kenny says it's a decision to protest Moshiri's investments as we move to a new stadium. Simple as, I'm afraid. Protect. Sorry, not protest, protect. Potentially. Dan Bush says, I'll be hammered having a boss time. First game back. Can't wait to get back in the street end. Yeah, exactly, mate. Maya says, too much negativity. All said and done. We don't decide who the manager will be. Whoever it is, we need to support the team. Ed says, Everton fans will soon change their minds when they start winning with him. If he wins a trophy, then he's a success, isn't he? Whether we like it or not. Pterodactyl says, Rich hasn't worked for us so far. We're going to backwards into a new stadium. Mark says, if Rafa is the manager and can produce the goods, we need to back him. Let's be positive. Spot on. Raji says, Everton. John Jones says, Everton will announce Rafa on Saturday and Tuesday. They will give us some good news on the signing or on the stadium. We know the tactics by now. Well, let's wait and see if they do. Anyway, let's end the stream. Let's end the poll before we end the stream then, and we'll find out the final results of that as well. If you've enjoyed the stream, by the way, please hit that like button. Like I said, again, there's been a lot of silence over the last coming days or so, but it seems at the moment like Rafa Benitez is still the leading candidate, and like seems like it's a bit of a formality. It wouldn't completely, surprise me if it didn't happen, because it was nailed on that Lucien Favre was signing for Palace yesterday, and that fell through. So that wouldn't completely surprise me if it didn't happen. But if I was a betting man, which I like the odd bet every now and then, but I wouldn't say I'm a betting man, I'd probably suggest that Rafa Benitez will be the new Everton manager, and that announcement will be soon. But anyway, let's wait and see. Look, the rumours we've had today is that the announcement could be over the weekend. That was from TalkSport and The Independent coming out and saying that, barring a massive change of heart from Everton, Rafa Benitez is set to be the new manager next week, or announced as the new manager next week. So there you go. Look, let's wait and see, I suppose, but that is the latest on the situation. They've voted him on the poll. Are you happy with Rafa Benitez? 52% said no, and 47% said yes. So very close to being split right down the middle. Very close, and that's 240 votes. So quite a decent sample size, certainly for the stream today, and it's split near enough right down the middle. Obviously there's more to know, but only by a couple of percent. 47% have said yes. Now the other day that was 20 odd percent, 22%, something like that. So it's doubled in 2 or 3 days, which to me tells me that the news and the information and the reality of the situation has started to sink in a little bit, and you know, people are starting to just accept it for what it is, really. Keith has donated $20 to the live stream. Keith Van Santi, thank you very much, my mate. I really do appreciate that. Again, $20, unbelievable. Keith, thank you so much. He has said that Rafa is just a placeholder for us. He will be here until the new stadium is built. I don't see Everton spending money. Instead, I see them waiting until the new stadium is built, then handing the manager title to Duncan. Great, get the video, great video cam. Come on, you Blues. Thank you very much, Keith. Really appreciate it. Yeah, maybe. Look, that's something that's been suggested a lot over the last couple of days or so, as it's just an easy option for Moshiri to protect his investment. Listen, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Again, we don't know, do we? But look, ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. And I suppose if it is Rafa Benitez and he isn't a success, then does it really protect the investment any more than any other manager that isn't a success? Because he's going to get a lot less time than any other manager would in regards to Evertonians' patience with him. So yeah, there you go. Alex says, "What's the new stadium put us in debt? Would the new stadium put us in debt?" I'm not really sure on that, to be honest. I would doubt it, but it probably would put us in debt, because anything puts you in debt, doesn't it? I've just ordered a new Mac, but I haven't paid for it outright because it's far too expensive, so I'm in debt now to Apple for the new Mac. So anything puts you in debt, doesn't it? So maybe, but I don't know. Teddy McAllister, what's happening, Teddy? He says, "Do you think we get the big flag from the cop with appointing Rafa? What comes with him?" I know, yeah. Look, you know, you're right, Teddy. They probably... I wouldn't like to hear what Liverpool fans say or think, because I'm not really that arsed, but it would be interesting to see if they're frustrated, if they're annoyed, if it's sort of damaged the legacy of Rafa Benitez in their eyes. Like, what's going on there? Tanner says some of our fans need to relax, and I don't think I can say the last word legally, but there you go. Jay says, "Should we sing Liverpool's Rafa song but change the words slightly?" No, we definitely shouldn't. Chris Sporius donated £20 to the team. Again, Chris, thank you very much, my mate. Again, it means a massive amount to me. Really do appreciate it. He says, "Thanks for the live streams, my man. Much love." Cheers, Chris. Really do appreciate that, mate. Honestly, it means a massive amount to me. Thank you very much for supporting. Aaron says, "I honestly just don't care at the moment. I just want us to see good football from the lads." Yeah, I think that's what we all want, don't we? And look, my big issue is whether Rafa Benitez will be able to bring that. I don't think he will, but maybe I'll be proved wrong. John says, "It means Dunk don't want the manager's job, wants 40-year career at Everton." We don't know whether Dunk wants it or not, do we? Mango says, "It's the football style, I just don't want that football." BBB says, "It's a waste of time, we need the manager who will build." Vic says, "I love girlfriend cam." There you go. Everton Dave says, "Rafa is not a bad choice, it's the Reds connection, that's the problem." Yeah, fair enough. John Jones says, "Top show again. Can't appreciate your time." Nice one, John. Really appreciate that, mate. Ed says, "What are they messing around for?" Well, we don't know if they are. We don't know if there's anything to announce yet. BBC says, "What's in the JD bag?" I think it's just more bags, or it might be a coat or a jacket or something like that. I'm really not sure. Liam Napper has donated £4.99 to the stream. Thank you very much, Liam. Doesn't leave a message. If you want to leave a message, Liam, get it in before we finish, and I'll read that out. But thank you very much for that donation again. Really do appreciate it, Liam. Honestly, it means a massive amount to me. Thank you very much, my mate. Saeed says, "I think it's a certainty. The delay may be because they need to have one or two huge signings to sweeten the bitter pill." Maybe. Robbie says, "He's gone in 6 months. Another wage you have to pay out for years. Not here." There you go. John says, "Is the Mac plastic?" It's not. It's an Apple. It's an Apple Mac. Sure, and I'm rejecting mail. Says, "What a great time to be alive." And GDI says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Why we do need a manager ASAP, but I still don't think Benitez is the right man. Hopefully there's a twist in the tail." I agree. I don't think he's the right man for the job, but it seems like he's the man Everton have chosen. Stephen says, "Is Ferguson still going to be number 2? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see as to what announced. But there you go. Big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this stream, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Once again, a massive thank you for all of the all of the support. It really does mean a massive amount from everybody in the live comments getting involved. If you're watching the YouTube video, please leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as possible. Thank you all very much for that. I really do appreciate it. Once again, everyone that's donated to the team, Amanda, Liam, Keith, Chris as well, thank you very much for the donations. I really do appreciate it. Liam says, "Love the streams, dude. Thanks a lot towards a new computer." Thanks, Liam. Really appreciate that, mate. Honestly, it means a lot. Thank you very much. John says, "Not the flasher Mac then." No. yeah, thank you all very, very much. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It only takes a second. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Flying towards 5,000 subscribers, so if you could hit that sub button, it would mean a great deal to me. Look, ultimately, the update at the moment is that according to The Independent and TalkSport, Rafa Benitez is very much still #1 candidate for Everton. TalkSport reporting that it could be announced this weekend. The Independent saying that barring a massive change of heart, it could be It could be, he says, I love your girlfriend. Nice one. It could be announced, Independent saying, barring a massive talk of change of heart from Everton, it could be announced next week. So, there you go. Look, we'll wait and see. It seems like there's nobody else in the running at the moment, and it seems like it's very much tunnel vision on Rafa Benitez. So, yeah. We'll wait and see what happens. But anyway, big thanks for watching. Vaughan says, Cam, would you love Rafa if he gets us a trophy? I don't know whether I'd love him, but he'd be a success. Mark says, can't wait for the derby with Rafa. He'll be hero or zero. Yeah, certainly one of them. Anyway, big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this stream, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back over the next coming days. If he's announced over the next coming days, we'll be back with a video announcing it as well. And yeah, we'll be giving our brief opinions on that. And then, of course, next week we'll be talking an awful lot more about the situation. We'll either be talking about more rumours, or we'll be talking about Rafa Benitez and what he can bring to Everton and whether or not he's going to be a success. Luke says, thanks for the video, Cam. Cheers, Luke. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. If you're watching live, please do leave a like. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll be back over the next coming days, probably, if something happens. If not, it'll be Monday morning with another live stream. But big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.